Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, and today we got the gameplay trailer for Enchanted by Nature. So this is mainly going to be an analysis, but they also updated the initial blog post with some Crosspack information and other stuff. The trailer is narrated by Mother Nature herself with quite an Irish accent as we get some shots of the new world of Inniscreen. And by the way, the subtitles are actually part of the video itself, which is an interesting choice to make it more accessible. Love the vines wrapped around this Sim's arm. I'm assuming that is a separate accessory, but Mother Nature starts by talking about the new houseplants, so you can have them inside in these various pots, but you really gotta make sure to take care of them, otherwise they may die off. So that's what that looks like. However, if you happen to have some fairy dust, you can enchant your houseplants so that they water and weed themselves. But they tend to attract pixies when that happens, though I'm not actually sure if they're really all that annoying. They sound like bees in the trailer, which is kind of funny. It is interesting to have functional houseplants return, but it feels like such a basic feature to me that could have just been included in an update. They also show that you can name your houseplant if you want. You can talk to them by complimenting them on their photosynthesis skills. Then Mother Nature, with glee, proceeds to tell us that the wait is over, fairies are here! So, yes, we got the fairy stories aspiration, and you plant this fairy seedling, which seems to be what makes Mother Nature appear, gives you this potion, and you can set off on your journey to become a fairy, then goes over to this spring and becomes a fairy. So I don't know if it's actually that short or if there is more to that with becoming a fairy in-game, but yeah, that does remind me a little bit of temporarily becoming a ghost in Ravenwood with that spring in Morningvale. We kind of saw this part already with the Create a Sim teaser from some days ago, but I love that there's so many different wings and that you can paint on them, so that's going to be really fun to play around with. And there's the motive panel for fairies. You can regenerate your emotional force because that is your replacement for the hunger motive. And actually, they don't have a bladder motive, so that's interesting as well. But yep, you can die if you let your emotional force be completely drained. To avoid this, you can drink literal bottled emotions, or what I think is more interesting, absorb the emotions of other Sims, which ends up getting this fairy into the mood, and there is the new fairy woohoo. So there actually seems to be a decent amount of new animation there, and yeah, other than like the ending, but we got a fairy using a dollhouse by sizing down, so that's a really nice touch. Now we're about to see the skill tree, so there's one ability to bloom plants. So I'm just gonna pause the trailer here for a bit so we can have a better look at the skill tree. So on the left with the wings, we have the little meter that determines your rank like we've had with some previous occults. And then I'm intrigued by how they've divided up the abilities. We have manipulation, emotion, nature, and then customization. I wonder what we're going to get with customization, because they don't really talk about the customization abilities from here, but we do get a sneak peek at a couple other ones in different categories. For example, this manipulation ability to age up another, so Don Lothario just got aged up here. You can bring a gnome to life as another manipulation ability. There's 4 different options: repairs and upgrades, cleaning, gardening, and protecting. Wonder what that is going to protect you from exactly. We have an example of an emotion ability to sway another's emotion, and as a disruptive sim, that fairy really enjoyed causing some drama with the land grabs. We got Nature Nomad, which is the second of 3 new aspirations. We get to see this sim living off the land, and Mother Nature reiterates what we already knew about the natural living skill, where it is just something you get better at over time as you live in the great outdoors. But yeah, I'm still a little unclear as to if there's certain things like sleeping on the floor that you only get at a certain level. But there we go. Got to sim bathing in the water. And that's pretty much it. There really isn't much to say about that. Then the luck and balance mechanics. We have a sim here who's not feeling good luck today, and a sim who is feeling good luck. So if you're in a bad mood for too long, you can teeter into imbalance, which you'll run into some minor symptoms, but if you stay in there even longer, then you'll get imbalanced and possibly run into ailments. So I guess that sim is just going to be annoyed by gnomes for a while. And then we got the Elixir Enthusiast, the third new aspiration. Using the apothecary skill, you can craft various things on the new workbench. So you can even have just a wee drink, a need stop, or a supernatural shield. There's even one that can increase your sim's luck. There's the new naturopath active career, which reminds me of the doctor career from Get to Work, but thankfully not tied to a hospital. There's this pop-up here, herbal house call. Welcome to Willow's first day as a naturopath healer. You'll begin to receive clients today and have the opportunity to put your skills to use. You must be as thorough as possible to diagnose them with the correct ailment or issue to avoid sending a patient home uncured. Remember, ailments aren't always the cause for a patient's visit. Sometimes you'll need to dig a bit deeper to find the problem. That last bit does sound interesting. It's not always about the ailments, but we have a couple examples of treating patients here where we're just like doing a little analysis, and then Willow determines that the sim needs their needs revitalized, which actually is wrong. The sim still has the ailment, so yep, they can get angry at you. Hopefully there's a funny sentiment tied to that, but you can also apparently offer a wellness program to them. Of course, you can offer plant-based remedies, like with the moody shrub, you can extract emotions from it. There's also the aura blossom, which can affect your luck or imbalance, but don't anger it. And there is the lightning root, which I'm not entirely sure what it does, but seems kind of dangerous. Willow does end up making the right elixir for the sim, the gnome lure cure, and the sim is immediately cured. We do have a very brief look at the 3 different neighborhoods of Inniscreen. There is supposed to be a world spotlight that's still happening, probably tomorrow or Monday, since next Tuesday is already when we're getting the next update. It is mentioned here that you are able to help out some of the locals in order to get some rewards like the village errand system and cottage living. And there is Spruce Almighty, which is Mother Nature's ex, so possibly some drama there, but she kind of cuts herself off saying, yeah, that's basically it for the tour. Mother Nature disappears off into the mist somewhere while reminding us to water our plants as we get one last shot of Inniscreen. Overall, I think this was a fun trailer, and we did learn some new things, so I feel like we've had worse gameplay trailers than this one. I think I've already covered just about everything I wanted to cover with the trailer, except for this one part here, where we can see a new mailbox. I think it's pretty cool when we do get new mailboxes, because it is just one of those little details that helps worlds feel a little more unique, especially considering mailboxes are a pretty important object for The Sims gameplay. Now, while there's no new blog post to go alongside the gameplay trailer, they updated the one we already had towards the bottom, where we can see there is a section about Occult Sim Crosspack gameplay tips. There are a plethora of previous expansion and game packs that allow your sim to connect with other Occult Sims. See below for a few you can try. With Horse Ranch, Cottage Living, and Cats and Dogs, fairies can use their nurture nature to fulfill animal needs and instantly cure sick cats and dogs without having to take them to the vet. And in addition, there are so many ways for fairies to connect with their Occult Sim counterparts. With werewolves, fairies can soothe the werewolves and bring their fury back to 0 and return them to their sim form. And with vampires, fairies can remove vampirism from vampire sims to return them to their natural sim selves. Fairies can also hydrate and top off the needs of mermaids and plant sims. If you have island living, werewolves, and vampires, sims can use the apothecary crafting table to create an elixir that refills all needs instantly for occult sims. There is a new fear included, the fear of magic, which makes Sims who have had a bad experience with magic feel unsettled by it. So if you have Realm of Magic, Sims can get paranoid when near spellcasters or other occults. That's a nice detail. It's not all that often that we get new fears, and this is a pretty sensible one to include. The other thing they added to the blog post is the music of this expansion pack. So they created a whimsical soundscape to match the world of Inniscreen and the adventures your Sims will experience in it, and of course, it's all in Simlish, with uniquely enchanting tracks from FKA Twigs, Perfume Genius, and Florence Road. You'll be instantly transported to a natural world of wonder. So we got Perfect Stranger by FKA Twigs, Clean Heart by Perfume Genius, Good Night by Florence Road, 9 to 5 by Big Pig, Simple Girl by Remy Bond, Shell of a Man by Saya Gray, Unfair by Yuno, Lara the Brave by Myriad Carlin and Ronan Scollard, and Blade of Grass by So-So Radio. Nice to see some spotlight on the soundtrack here because I feel like they rarely do this. I miss The Sims 3 days when they would do those little music videos. In the gameplay trailer, you can hear some nice Celtic sounding music, which I'm assuming we'll hear in Create a Sim and Build By. Overall, this pack might end up being decent, but I can't deny there are so many features that can be compared to things that we already have from previous packs, just remixed a little bit. I don't mind the skill tree though. I'm glad that we have that for fairies, and it does look different enough compared to what we've seen before. But it would be nice if we could just get some more features that feel genuinely new, especially with how expensive these expansion packs are. Here in Canada, this costs $55. Like, that's a lot of money. I still can't recommend this pack at full price from what we've seen. I would wait until it's at least close to half off. Oh, one last thing. They announced on the Sims official Discord that they're branching out and trying something new with a live stream event after the launch of Enchanted by Nature. You won't want to miss it because she was a fairy. They'll announce the exact date later. But yeah, that's so weird. I don't know why they're doing live streams after the pack release now. I just feel like there'd be way less people tuning in. And that wraps up another Sims Info and Thoughts video, so feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this pack so far. And be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with my latest gaming content. I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!